uniting the country.
This is a time for us to come together and mourn this great man and look forward to Kenya being a unified country.
We know we don't have a leader in our generation who is more consequential like Raila Amolo Odinga. We mourn a man, we celebrate a hero.
Huyu ni mzee ambaye ni mkakamfu na tutamkumbuka. Sioni kama kuna wakati historia ya kisiasa tutaweza sahau ile mambo Raila Amolo Odinga amefanya.
He was an epitome of democracy. He was a great advocate of peace. He wanted Kenya to prosper.
And the county government of Siaya has postponed the Siaya International Trade and Investments Conference, which was to be officially opened on Wednesday, the 15th of October. Siaya County Governor James Orengo says this will allow the county to join the family and friends of the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga in mourning. And just like the Nyanza region, the same script also replicated here in Nairobi, where businesses came to a standstill at the Nairobi Central Business District on Wednesday as hundreds of mourners poured onto the streets following the news of the death of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Among those on the streets were residents from Kibra informal settlement, where Odinga served as a member of parliament in his earlier political days. They marched from Kibra into downtown, causing traffic disruption. They eulogized him as a defender of human and social rights and a leader who was a unifying factor.
Ikuwe ni wa Somali, ikuwe ni wa Kamba, ikuwe ni wa Kikuyu, ikuwe ni wa Kisii. Raila ni kiongozi wetu sisi wote.
Na mimi nimekuja hapa kuomboleza kifo ya one chief human right activist Raila Amolo Odinga. Amepigania haki za watu.
Lakini baba ni baba wa kila mtu nchi mzima. Tumegutushwa tukijua ya kwamba Raila Amolo Odinga ametuacha leo, na tunasema lazima sisi kama viongozi wa hapa Nairobi tuendelee kujipanga.
Hata kama baba ameenda, tuko na slogan moja. Sasa atutupeleka tena mtaro, atupeleka hivi, aturudisha hivi. Tuko rada sisi wote hivi. Bana, baba wako bado, spirit yake bado wako.
Maisha ya Raila na Izalia ni mtu ametutoa mbali. Ametutoa mbali ni kama baba yetu.
Nimehuzunisha sana kwa kifo cha Raila, lakini naombea tu wa Kenya tutufunge kamba, kwa sababu huyu mzee alikuwa ametupigania, lakini sasa hii tumehuzunika zaidi.
Baba Raila Amolo Odinga ndiye amefanya. Sasa hivi tunaweza ongea kila kitu ambayo tunahitaji.
Kwa leo hakuna haja ya mambo ya siasa na mambo ya chama. Tunaomboleza Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga na kiongozi wa ODM.
Raila Amolo Odinga is not a leader of any region. He is not a leader of an individual. We have lost as a country. Africa has lost. Raila is a beacon of progress in this country.
Is that let's give Baba the honor and the respect that he deserves.
In Mombasa County, the demise of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga was received with shock by the residents there, who eulogized Raila Odinga as a political enigma, a selfless leader and an advocate for good governance. As the country mourns his death, Mombasa residents have called for unity of all Kenyans and the ODM party.
These are the scenes along the Mombasa-Nairobi highway adjacent to the Bangladesh slums. The residents carrying twigs mourned the death of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Saddened by his death, they eulogized him as a selfless leader who fought for democracy and had the country's interests at heart.
Baba hakuwa na ukabila, alikuwa anajua kila mmoja, maana akiwa kula mbele katika utetezi wake, alikuwa anatetea kila mtu, alikuwa habakui wala hakuwa katika ukabila. Tunasikitika na kifo cha baba yetu.
Kwa kweli kifo cha baba imenishtua sana, lakini kwa yote mimi nitasema baba amepumzika. Maana male vitu zote ambazo Raila ametufanyia, ametuletea demokrasi. Saizi tuko free. I'm very sure ingekuwa ile era nyingine hata sahi amngekuwa hapa. Lakini hayo yote yamefanyika because of Raila. We respected that man a lot na hata apumzike. May his soul rest in peace.
Sisi kama Gen Z we are not happy at all. Raila, why? Mbona umetufanyia hivi? Na tulikuwa tunajua utatusaidia Raila. We are not happy at all, Raila.
At the Central Business District, it was business as usual. Being an ODM stronghold, the residents called for calmness and unity among Kenyans.
Kenya naweza sema ni kuomba tu jamii yetu wakuwe na utulivu, wakuwe na unity, sababu Mungu ndio analeta kiongozi na Mungu ndio anapeana. Kwa hivyo hatuwezi kaa kama yatima. Tunajua Mungu atatupatia mwingine ambaye atakuwa na sisi.
Hadi tu tunaomba watu wa Mombasa na pia matabaka mengine tuwe pamoja kama kwenye chama cha ODM. Tuendelee kufuata mkondo wa baba Raila Amolo Odinga.
Tuwe na amani kwa sababu wakati kama huu ndio tunataka muondoko mpya.
Despite his demise, they remain optimistic that his legacy shall live on.
Mungu naye ni waajabu kwa sababu the spirit of Odinga baba imekuja ikaingia kwa Gen Z. Kwa hivyo hakuna kitu ambacho kitapungua. Kwa hivyo hata baba tutamwachilia apumzike kwa amani.
Baba yetu Raila tumeona kwamba ameacha spirit ya ukombozi katika nchi ya Kenya ambayo tayari tunaona inafanya kazi na mayuthi wetu wa Kenya Gen Z.
For Prime Edition from Mombasa County, I am Anburu.
In Mombasa County, we take a very quick breather. We'll circle back with plenty more, including our conversation that still centers on the lifetimes as we reflect on the man that was Raila Odinga. Time for that break. Stay with us.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tunaangazia kilimo kutumia mbinu za asili. Kisha jinsi ya kuwafuga ng'ombe, kondoo pamoja na kuku.
Hawa wanyama wako na challenges mingi pia. Kukua na wao inabidi ujipange.
Lea Premium Flour, nurturing the world. Available in a store near you.
Chapa unakuwa humiliated mbele ya watu, lakini unapata uwezi shtaki, sababu ukishtaki utafungiwa barabara ya kwenda Bungu.
Kondoo ya mwisho na nini? Na kufi. Na katika ulimwengu ya kiroho unajua litwangwa hiyo kofi ni Mikaeli. Sasa mimi nauliza wewe. Bila nabii ungekuwa wapi?
Mimi angekuwa Bachonga.
Unajua utapata shida.
Wewe ndio malaika ama sijakuelewa bado?
No. I'm his prophet.
Huyu yeye ni nani anawababaisha hivyo?
Nabii na anakusomeanga maisha yako vile iko.
Na wewe unaamini?
Makwa. Ni kweli sasa. Ulikuwa umejua list ya millionaires ulikuwa umeingia. Le hambaya papa. One of the millionaires. Billionaires? Si ndio? Akinirudisha tu kwa hiyo namba. Tafadhali nirudishe.
Welcome back. You're still on Prime Edition. Time for our conversation right now. As I had mentioned earlier, tonight we fully dedicated to the lifetimes of Raila Odinga, reflections on the kind of man that Raila Odinga was. And my guest is here, Reverend Dr. Alphonse Kanga, the Regional Chairperson, National Council of Churches of Kenya. Karibu, Daktari.
Asante sana.
All right. Today has just been a day of mourning, quite literally. Sadness, emotions running everywhere. Some even still difficult to come to terms with just the news that they had this morning.
That's true.
Your quick reflections on who Raila Odinga was.
Yes, maybe before I get to, Doreen, before I get to quick reflection of who he was, is to deeply, on behalf of the religious community, to send our condolences and try to express what our thought line is. Our thoughts as a religious community in the country to Ida and the children is based in Psalms 23. Psalms 23 was written with a great man that will symbolize Raila. This man, David, he declares after he had done a lot of work, he says, "The Lord is my shepherd," which declares that may our prayer say that the provision that is required in that family may it be provided. And not only that, the same David declares that the Lord will provide. Not only that, his presence will be there. We declare that may the presence of God be within that family of Ida and the children.
Yes.
And not only that, David declares in the same psalm where he said that he will prepare the table before me in the presence of my enemies. May we say that may protection be in that family.
Yeah.
May God's presence be in that family. May God's provision be in that family. May God's protection be in that family. And so who was Raila? We'll say Raila was a very interesting person.
Yeah.
And we will say he leaves a legacy not of crowns denied, but of seeds sown in tears, reaped in joy. He leaves a legacy not of crowns denied, but of the seed that was sown in tears. Raila has sown a lot of seeds in tears. The outcome of those seeds that he sowed in tears, it turns out to be a joy to many people. Many of us, what we enjoy is what Raila saw. Vile kila alipanda in tears. And that is what we remember Raila is. This Raila's life can be depicted in the scripture very well. In Psalms 126 verse 5, they sow in tears, but they harvest in joy. And that has been the lifestyle of Raila, day in, day out, day in, day in. We don't remember him as somebody who was denied crowns 5 times, but we remember him as somebody, even after crying, after depression, after frustration, we enjoy. Look at his lifestyle from where he started. Devolution. Again, we say this is the father of devolution. He looked at what was happening. He was there during independent time, and he realized that there was going to be a problem if there was going to be no change. And he has fought all through every regime that we may be where we are. And so how do we define him? What do we see Raila being? We see Raila as a father who was really determined to make sure that devolution is a reality. And what are we supposed to do? Maybe we can ask our brothers in the political arena and all of us as leaders to respect Raila. Let's make sure that devolution works. We make sure the devolution works. Raila has always said now and then and decried that the MPs were enemies of devolution. And for now that Raila is out of space now, okay, Raila is alive in heaven, but on earth his body has gone back to where it belongs. The image of God has been moved from Raila.
Okay.
Now, but Raila lives in our mind and everywhere. But as we do this, just remember, there are things that Raila stood for.
All right.
Raila stood for resilience. Raila stood for determination. Raila stood for focus. Raila stood for respect. In that, if Raila was just another person, Raila would have given up many years. I don't know of any Kenyan, and I agree with the head of state as he said, nobody can measure Raila. I don't think a number of us can fight for 5 times.
Yes.
Fighting for presidency. And we still move on.
And continue doing it.
And continue doing that.
Okay. And I hear your reflections really just coming from deep within. But then there's this aspect you say that if we are to honor Raila, is ensuring making devolution works. And it just reminds me of part of what just brought the yes and no in 2005, because then the WACO draft failed to address some of these things that meant them to move to the no side. That was the orange side before we ended up to the 2010 constitution. So clearly it's one of the things, as you mentioned, that need to be ensured that we adhere to as we remember of his legacy. But then also, as you're talking about sowing seeds in fear. In your view, is this part of what has evoked the deep emotions? Because we have had those who have, of course, are admiring him, but also those who are criticizing Raila Odinga.
Yes, that's why I said that Raila's life is depicted very well in Psalms 126 verse 5. They sow in tears, but they harvest in joy. Why? Because for you to be in tears, there must be some people against you. And they think that you are not going to make it. And they can call you other names until you start crying. But out of those tears, what comes out is always joy. For example, Raila was the enemy of development, according to to some presidents who were there before. He was the enemy of development. What came out of it is devolution. Raila was the enemy of development to some people, especially when he's fighting for. But there are principles he fought for. There are things that he was looking. There is this vision that Raila had for the country. Unfortunately, we did not give him opportunity to exercise on top of there, but we have enjoyed all through. We didn't make him stay there as head of state, but we have enjoyed the outcome. We have enjoyed the fruits of Raila. If you don't know the fruits, then maybe you are not a Kenyan. But if you are Kenyan, you should know that the freedom you enjoy, the freedom of speech.
And this cuts across generations.
It cuts across generations. Some of us who lived those days, you'll speak something and look around and wonder who is around you.
That's not the case right now.
That's not the case right now. You can say what you want. It's a freedom. It's a free land. We have freedom of speech. And if you're annoyed, you go to court. And this is the land we are looking for. But if we have to honor Raila, Doreen, we must respect what he stood for and pick up from there and make sure the country prospers. Raila fought for independent institutions. One of the things that was in Raila's mind, if you listen to him, if you read his works in different places, Raila's idea was, when are we going to have independent institutions?
And ensure they have autonomy.
And they have autonomy. That word I, independent, independent policing, independent IEBC, independent, that independence is what Raila was fighting for. So my fellow Kenyans, if we have to respect Raila, then let's fight for that independent IEBC, independent Teacher Service Commission, independent commissions in every area of our lives. That was the life of Raila.
So whichever way you look at it, there's something to credit the man with.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How would you, as a clergyman, how would you describe his relationship with the church, and how did this ultimately shape his political life?
Somebody said, give me a child when he's 7 years, and he'll always remain a member of that church. Raila's father put up a church in their own compound, the Anglican church. That tells you that Raila was brought up as a Christian with Christian principles from the word go. Because Raila went to Sunday school. Raila was taught about Anglicanism. And so Raila, being a very shrewd politician, he would play his political games very well. In that Raila will always be in politics, but on Sunday, Raila was in Ocean's Cathedral with Ida worshipping. Raila played that game very well. Raila understood the place of the family, the place of religion, and the place of politics. And that is why Raila will always, he commented very little. Not many at times he was misunderstood. But you cannot stand here and say that Raila was against religion. Raila was, actually, Raila, as far as spirituality is concerned, Raila played his structures very well. Raila, at one time, you'll find with a Muslim gown, respecting that faith system. Raila, at one time, you'll find him with all the ATR, African traditional religions, hats, respecting that spiritual man. Raila had a sense of spirituality, knowing that a man who is only politically mature, mentally mature, but spiritually mature, that man is a half-baked. Raila was an all-balanced person. Doreen, if Raila did not believe in God, I tell you, stress would have finished him many years ago. I don't know. If you are the first person whereby we all believe that you have won, things turns around, you don't win. In the following day, you come again, you revive it, and there is joy.
That explains why he'll be buried by the Anglican Church of Kenya, as you say.
Yes.
But also, again, the church has often been seen as a moral compass in Kenya's politics. When you hark back and think about the times of Raila Odinga and even how he interacted with the church, how would you say this was, especially in times of crisis?
Raila depended on the church in times of crisis, even in terms of his own politics. Despite of him being shrewd and talk to other politicians like a politician, Raila will always go back. Look at his fights. This evening, we have one of my colleagues, the Reverend Dr. Njoya, was at home to pray with them because they have been together in this struggle all through. He knew the place of religion. And Raila he did not brush off religion. He was within the spheres of religion. So as we do religion, Raila was aware that there is what we call extraordinary power that can only come from God who made heaven and earth. The issue of God and Raila, you cannot doubt it. You might define it according to your religion differently, but Raila and religion, they were one and the other. He knew how to play that game very well. And so to us, I think we can learn something from Raila. Raila will never confront people. He'll get annoyed and say something, but finally, he'll say, oh, the Anglicans have done this. But on Sunday, you'll find Raila in the pews, worshiping God.
So his relationship with the church was solid?
It was solid.
As an individual?
Yes, as an individual.
Okay.
Because he was a member all through. He'll never. Raila, when the Islamic rituals, Raila will always be there.
All right.
In that he recognizes the spiritual part of humanity. And to me, that's something that comes with it automatic in leadership. But those principles Raila stood for. And that also can talk about the unity he wanted. Raila was for unity around where we live. He united us all together. Raila is one person that was accepted in all communities in Kenya. Be it in African traditional religion, be it in Islamic religion, be it in the Christianity, be it what we call the tribal cocoons. Raila will be accepted in those areas based on what time. Okay? At one time, Raila will go to Central, they call him Jamba. Of course, when he differs with them, he says something else. At the other time, Raila will go to Western, in Luyaland, they call him, he says he's their son, which a history has, he was a very good historian. He will tell the Luyas how he is the son of Wanga. He's within the system of Wanga. And he knew how to connect, meaning relationship is very important. You don't deny them. Raila's family is all round. Raila will go to Mombasa and identify with the people who live in Mombasa, meaning Raila was for unity. United, we work together in all dimensions of our lives.
How then did he maintain that aspect of acceptance, relevancy? Because as we said, he's vied for presidency. He did that 5 times to no avail, but still managed to stay relevant, and this across all generations. In fact, I'm reminded of an instance where during the Gen Z protest, there's one who mentioned, Agwambo, wewe sasa kaa nyumbani, ingine sasa tutamalizia, tutaendelea. So you really are someone who, regardless of age, race, tribe, you'd still feel him. How did he manage to do this?
I take this from number one, from the upbringing of Raila. In that his parents were Christians. And Raila had attached with the morality of humanity. Raila has a foundation, of moral foundation of social, in social dimension. Raila had a religious foundation. Raila not only that, he has a social foundation, he had a religious foundation, he has an academic foundation, and that brought Raila to be the kind of person you want. Religious-wise, Raila had that kind of foundation. Society-wise, Raila had a strong dimension of society. Not only that, in the educational part of it, Raila was so strong in it. So Raila's morality was a little bit strong in different dimensions. For example, Raila has fought corruption all through. You have your own story, but Raila, you don't have much to point figures on him. If you want it, we have lived in this country for a long time. But I don't think you have a figure you can say, oh, Raila, you have done this. Raila, you have done this. Economic foundation. Raila has a strong touch in economic foundation, in that he also he respected work. Raila respected work. The problem we have in this country is many of us who do not respect work. We don't see work as a divine thing, the way God worked for seven days and then he rested. Raila believed that you get what you get by hard work. So he worked with hard work. Read his story. He came from the university and then he started a company of Spectre, developing the country. Well, him as an engineer, he'll show you. Raila, work, he respect work. He'll go to his home in Bondo and you have shown pictures working in his farm. So Raila, work foundation was so strong in him as compared to some of us and our age mates who think that you can acquire something without working hard, who think you want to appear in a black vehicle and if you are asked where you got it, you cannot explain. As compared to where we are, I think Raila, that kind of a thing, it was so important to him. Those foundations were so strong.
Yes.
Socially, he believed. Family-wise, Raila has a family foundation. And that's why you see Raila, his wife, and the children. He'll always talk about Mama Ida. He'll talk about his children. Raila, family-wise, he was... I think we can take an example.
Yeah.
Actually, for Christianity, I don't know why you have never heard of second wife of Raila. We have known Raila one.
So you're saying some of these values fought corruption, had a strong economic foundation, hard work, moral standing.
Yes.
This is just some of the things that made him to continue staying relevant.
Yes.
That you cannot miss his name at any point.
You cannot miss.
All right. He's also someone who has really underwent struggle since when he began politics in early 70s and 80s. You can remember of the detention when he really fought so much for multi-party democracy, which obviously came in 1992. But then those around 8 years of detention. What are some of those things that we can learn from, and how did that shape even the person that he later went on to become?
That's why I said that his life can be explained very well in Psalms 126 verse 5.
You still hark back to that verse?
Yes, you go back to that verse and see what he said. David says there, so, you see, I planted in tears, but it was harvested in joy. All the years that Raila went through, he was going through this drama so that Kenya will be in a particular level. And for sure, he has left us in a particular level. How did he go through this? You can't imagine. Look at his detention. There are very few people who will follow Raila, who can measure that standard. Detention and all this drama that happened. He comes up again and people are happy. He comes up again, people are happy. It's not a life of, we cannot remember for the crowns denied. Yes, there are a number of crowns that he was denied. But out of that denial, out of that frustration, we have learned something. We have learned resilience. We have learned credibility. We have learned integrity. We have learned that you can live together. I can't forget this image with the former president. We were attending the Kenyan Day of Prayer, the MP's prayer meeting at Safari Park, when they all walked to the stage like this one, and he looked at the other one, and one looked to the other, and Raila said, "Oh, but you abused me." And they also said, "And you also abused me." Then Raila said, "You called me Mukoroge." And then the other one said, "And you called me a drunkard." And they all shook hands and we all laughed. Meaning, surely, disagreement is not enmity. Okay?
Yes.
You don't revenge, you don't carry anger. And so those gentlemen, when we left that prayer meeting, we left there as very strong people. We left there with a lot of love, with a lot of respect for those two gentlemen. Despite there was disagreement, and you can see that he was out of jail, and then he came for development. And he spoke out his mind. You could not suppress his mind at all. That's why in and out. Raila had the presence of God in his mind, so that despite of what he did, he knew God will definitely sustain him. a number of us will go underground because of fear. But Raila would just speak it out. And he goes in again and he comes up and continues. But when he comes up, people benefit from that struggle.
Yeah, like just as you say, a number of us would actually go underground because after that detention, he came and vied for Langata MP seat in the 90s and actually got it. Then after that, continued fighting for multi-party democracy, which we actually attained later in 1992. So yeah, it's something that we can borrow from, resilience therein.
Yes.
But also, as you mentioned, that scenario during the prayer breakfast.
Prayer breakfast,
Where they would talk to each other and say that you abused me, you called me this and that, disagreements, and you say that this one is not enmity. It sort of like reminds me of even the 2007-2008 post-election violence that was later mediated by Kofi Annan that resulted to the Grand Coalition government in which he was Prime Minister. And some would actually say, maybe he didn't need to, so, especially for those who thought that he had won the election, but he still said, country first. Country first,
country first, country first. You remind me that scenario again.
Yeah.
That scenario again, I was there.
Okay.
Actually, when Kofi Annan came in the country, the one who went and picked him from the airport, then I was his assistant throughout. I worked with him all through. So we went to see...
Who now, Kofi?
Kofi Annan. Okay. Kofi Annan being, not Kofi Annan, but...
Raila.
No, the priest from South Africa.
All right, okay.
Desmond Tutu.
Oh, okay.
You see that? It's that time that Kofi Annan came. Just before Kofi Annan came, there was Desmond Tutu, who is our priest. When the bishop came in, I was his assistant all through that time. So we went to see Raila in Orange House. And we found him cool, as if nothing is happening. And outside people are full saying, no Raila, no peace. And it's as if we don't understand that. We were wondering, what's the issue? We left that place a bit frustrated. But the following day, Kofi Annan said, we have a deal. And this comes, Raila shakes Kibaki's hands and the country continues. It was not about enmity. It was about the principles we stand for life.
Is this something that overall we can really remember Raila Odinga for? Because he has come out as one of those veteran politicians that, as we said, yes, he has remained as a name, relevant in that define, vied for presidency 5 times, never got any seat, but in every subsequent government, he managed to sort of find himself there, either brokering peace or something of that sort. Is it something that we can really so much remember him for, that beat?
Yes, and it is because of what I've mentioned. Raila had a social foundation, Raila had educational foundation, Raila had a spiritual religious foundation, and Raila had a family foundation. So whatever he's doing, those foundations help this gentleman to know how to go about it. You see that? If you have an academic foundation, you have a social foundation, you have a family foundation, then there are a lot of things you put in place before anything happens. Raila is not just like other opposition leaders that will find them go on and they mess up their country because of an individual. I think Raila loved the country so much. Look at what happened recently. He asked her a question. Okay, you are saying Ruto must go. So who takes up? In his mind, it is good to have Ruto structure our country than just saying Ruto must go. Aende wapi? And akienda so that who takes over? How good is that? So he went among the two. Ruto going and leaving the country in a mess and having Ruto, and then we organize the country together was the best because Raila had a foundation. He had a family foundation. We have children to take care of.
And
we have religion to take care of.
And this just goes back to really that church arrangement, family, church upbringing and the likes. But then again, we can look back to the role he played in the 2010 Constitution.
Yes.
Perhaps just hark back to 2005, like I said, where we had the yes and no. They weren't really able to agree in regards to that new Constitution that just saw the Raila team drop off. The Wako draft did not address some of those issues that they felt needed to be addressed. And this sort of like pushed having a new constitution much forward. But then again, in around 2010, actually 2010, we have a new document, a new guide, a new way of living as a country. And his role was quite critical and pivotal. In your view, how pivotal was this?
Oh, without Raila, we'll not have gone where we are. Look at this way.
Yes.
Leave that alone.
Yeah.
Come to this issue at one time when there was the swearing in.
Okay.
Where there was Wananchi swearing in at Uhuru Park. For him to come to that level, he had traveled a long distance, frustrated and depressed, and then he said, let's do this gimmick so that it may train people to learn something. Then we learned something from there. We learned, so there can be a people's president, and there can also be constitutional president. Then at that time we had two presidents. We had a people's president and a constitutional president. And then Raila taught us that we must have all these things working together. The constitution must agree with the people, must work for the people, and people for the constitution. Here we are having a constitutional president, but Raila came and said, I am the people's president. You cannot run a country with the people's president or constitutional president. They were to come together so that they can now work together. The story of the constitution, how it developed, step by step, until what came out of it. Raila was in the center of it. He was the father of that thing. And what Raila was fighting for is where we are, devolution.
That's why you're saying that if there's one thing we can do for him, make this thing work, devolution. He really fought so hard for it. So then...
He fought for merit.
Okay.
Raila has been for merit. You know something, Doreen? When a nation refuses to follow merit, we pay so heavy price. There are countries that decided they are going to follow merit. Raila was fighting for merit on everything we do. And this has been his cry all through. The moral issues he stood for, part of it was merit, was transparency. How do we come up, how do we look at it and just become clear like Damascus? No, this is where we are heading to.
Okay. So then now, as some would describe him as a reformist, as you say, someone who really had high values when it comes to family, a hard worker, corruption-free in that regard, as you mentioned. What is this one thing? I want to really touch a bit on the young people, because you keep saying that these are the future leaders of today or tomorrow, whichever one you want to pick. But then what is this one thing they can borrow from the man that Raila Odinga was, especially when it comes to his political style of doing things?
Determination. Determination.
One word like that.
Determination.
Okay.
And the other word is focus. Focus simply means follow one course until success. Raila was so good in that. Determination. Focus and get determined. Follow one course until success. And that was what Raila was. Raila as a prisoner, Raila as ex-prisoner, he gets what he wants. As a prisoner, he's quiet. As an ex-prisoner, he gets what he wants. And people are supporting him. And then he had a special connection with the public.
Yeah.
He had a special connection with different people.
Yes.
He had that kind of demeanor that everybody liked him. Look for example, this word, he stands and say, Aiya, Aiya. And then people want just to repeat that. You know, he raises up the emotion, he raises up that kind of love, that connection with the people. Aiya, Aiya, Aiya. And you see all of us, then we are saying, look at this time when things were very tough.
Yes.
Then Raila goes for a burial of one of the, a burial somewhere in Central. There was the Mau Mau fighter's wife who had died. And then he meets Ruto there. And then he looks at Ruto and he says, who you mean, mimi namujua? I know him. Atapoa. And then we all laughed. He said, Atapoa. Meaning Raila had no hatred. Raila did not hate Ruto. Those people are friends. Then he said, from there, Atapoa, but what I want from him, it is this and this. Come out Atapoa, we are going to move on and move on and move on to get it. So that kind of structured operation, he had his own philosophy of operation that one will really like it.
Yeah.
But our MPs, definitely, we need to learn something. We plead that we stop, especially at this time, as we move on, we can plead with our MPs. Please, muache kuchora. Muache kuchora na kuchipenda. Please, just come back to our senses and look at what Baba fought for. what he wanted us to be.
Okay, you're really strapped for time, but I feel like it would be a disservice without me getting this bit from you, that with Raila Odinga, do you think he'll be remembered more as one in opposition or in governance? Very quickly, as you wind down.
Raila will be remembered as a balanced opposition and a leader in the country. Balanced, determined, and focused leader in the country. Balanced opposition leader, focused and determined in the country.
Focused, determined, balanced opposition leader. That's how he'll be remembered,
yes,
as you say.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Daktari, for your insights, just giving us the view, and also just understanding, Raila as one, with a charge, something that maybe majority wouldn't even remember on, him for. Asante sana for that. That has been Reverend Dr. Alphonse Kanga, the regional chairperson at the National Council of Churches of Kenya, just giving us his insights and view of how he would remember the person, Raila Amolo Odinga. Of course, we continue the coverage of the man that was Raila Odinga. Now, the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation Board of Directors, Management and Staff of KBC joined the nation in mourning the death of the late Prime Minister Raila Odinga. In a statement, the chair of the board, Tom Shindi, eulogized Raila as a steadfast pillar of democracy, justice and unity. He said Raila's firm commitment to the ideals of good governance, inclusivity and national cohesion inspired generations and transformed Kenya's political landscape. He further eulogized him as a man whose voice became a symbol of hope for countless Kenyans, and his lifelong service to the nation will forever be remembered with deep respect and gratitude. The Football Kenya Federation has suspended all scheduled matches this weekend in honor of the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who passed away on Wednesday morning while receiving treatment in India. 7 FKF Premier League matches were set to be played this weekend. In a press statement, the Federation joined the nation in mourning a great leader and a passionate supporter of Kenyan football. The late Raila Odinga was a lifelong football enthusiast and served as the patron of Gor Mahia, one of Kenya's most storied football clubs. FKF President Hussein Mohamed paid tribute to the late Odinga, describing him as a towering political figure and a devoted patron of Kenyan football, who leaves behind a legacy rich in dedication, advocacy, and an unparalleled love for both his country and the sport he cherished. The Gor Mahia chairman Ambrose Rachier condoled with the bereaved family, saying they will forever be grateful to the late patron for his unwavering dedication to the club, with unparalleled support that saw him make a donation of 10 million shillings to the club recently, while urging them to strive to return as champions once again.
He has been vindicated in the sense that since 2008, I think we've taken more than 11 trophies, and he has restored confidence in a lot of our fans, and also taken part in giving confidence to our sponsors.
And now I just want to leave you with some of those life and times of former Prime Minister and Orange Democratic Movement Raila Odinga in pictures, how it looked like, the times, lives, legacy, his political journey, his career as a whole. Watch. In pictures, those are just the times and life of former Prime Minister and ODM leader Raila Odinga. But on that note is where we'll put a cap to this live broadcast. But remember, preparations and plans are still ongoing, as was announced by the Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki, who also chairs the Planning and Preparation Committee for the burial of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And part of what he's just announced is that as the body will be arriving in the country tomorrow morning, and that should be around 8:30 or 9 a.m. thereabout, which will be received by the President together with the family of the late Raila Odinga, and at around 12 p.m. it will be taken to Parliament for public viewing from 12 noon all the way to 5 p.m. Also, there will be a state funeral service at Nyayo Stadium that is supposed to be happening on Friday, and on Saturday morning body will leave to Kisumu for public viewing. Just part of what he announced as preparations that are still underway in the burial of Raila Odinga. But remember, as KBC Channel 1, just as we have been doing this for you since early today when that announcement came, and continuing all through the night, we'll continue doing this tomorrow, on Friday, on Saturday, up until he is buried. All this in remembrance of the lifetime's legacy of former Prime Minister and ODM leader Raila Odinga. I'm Doreen Arangi. Lucy Maura has been our sign language interpreter. Good night.
Tushinde.com. Cheza safe, cheza smart. Gambling is addictive, not for persons under the age of 18 years.
Mdosi amelala, sukuma moja. Wewe pia ndio muoga. Ndio maana Master Demi alikupita. Demi haiko nipita bwana. Mimi najaza entry ticket zangu. Wewe hata unajua namba ya kusenda. Sini star 419 hash. Option 3. Ni Probox. Bwana finya hiyo kitu. Mfinye. Finya hiyo kitu. Nfinye. Finya hiyo kitu. Nfinye. Finya bwana.